you need to create a button and text view element in the layout.xml. So what does that look like? Over here, you go to Resource, Layout, XML. So double click that. I get the code view. You can go to the design view to see what it looks like. For our coding purposes, we're just going to start with the code side, and then we'll look at this occasionally as needed. Notice that it defaults to constraint layout. If it isn't constraint layout, go ahead and change it. That's the newest layout a couple years ago, and it handles almost everything we'll need it to do. It's a good idea to be practicing it. You should notice that this is in the Android X library instead of the old Android.support library, and that's where most things should be. I want to put an enter here just to show you that there is a bunch of stuff loaded, and basically they're loading. If I put Android, then I'm going to use this package. If I use app, go here, tools will go here. So that's what this is, and you don't need to worry about what all this means yet. Okay, so here we go. So to make a button, for those who don't know HTML, it's a markup language. You have to have a beginning and an end. So we're going to do, oh wow, BUTTON. Hit enter, and it says, hey, look at that. See, it automatically said, hey, you're going to need a width and a height. And so we're going to choose match parent or wrap content most of the time. Content means if the word gets bigger, the text inside the button gets bigger, then the button gets bigger. You may not want this, but for now, we're just going to hit enter, and you're going to hit enter, and it's going to fill that in for us. But if we open the button here, then you need to close the tag here. Please yell at me by voice if you cannot see and I need to zoom in further. Okay, I like to believe this is pretty big right now. If it is not, let me know. So here we have the beginning tag, and then this is the close tag for the button. Because we're doing a constraint layout, you're required to do at least one left and right and at least one top and bottom. So just to cheat, I'm going to copy all of this and paste it up here. So now I'm saying stick my bottom, so the bottom of the button, to the bottom of parent. Take the bottom at the left of my button and connect it to the left of parent and right and so forth. That's silly because I'm cutting the bottom to the bottom, the top to the top. What really that does is it just centers it. Since I'm connecting it to the parent, it basically says center this vertically, center this horizontally. And so when I look at see here, in there, see how there's a text box and a button, and they're both centered. And so that's what these arrows means. See, I'm connecting to the left of this parent, to the right of this parent. That means center me between those two. Okay, if you drop one of them, then it will just connect it to that. So for example, if I drop this, I get rid of this so that I'm not connected to the top anymore. See how I'm not connected to the top, but I'm connected. My bottom is connected to the bottom of the parent. So the bottom of the button is connected to the bottom of the parent. So when I connected the top to the top, it auto-centered. So that's how you center things, is you connect it to the left and right or top and bottom or something. Okay, so let's just bring that back. Now, what am I going to do? I want my button to connect to the bottom of TextView, just because I do. Nothing magical, I just want to. So I want my top to connect to the, watch this, bottom of, and it put in some extra stuff. Anyways, bottom of something. I need to refer to this text view. How am I going to give it? Just like in Java, you need to give it a variable name if you want to reference it. So remember, I'm talking this through as a demonstration. Please yell at me if you need any concerns. Now look at this. I need to apply an ID. So I'm going to just type ID. And you'll notice that Android says, hey, you probably mean Android.id. So it says, and I hit enter. And it says, hey, look, you probably want to give a new variable name. So I just hit enter. And again, it puts the syntax for me to create a new, the plus ID means make myself a new ID name. So this can be called anything you want it to be. So let's call it my greeting for now. I don't know, because it's going to be my hello world. So it'll be greeting. So that's the name of the text view. So that's the variable name. The ID, we just created it there. So that means I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go ID. Look, I type I and it tells me, oh, you probably mean one of these. Look at that right there. It says ID greeting. So that means now my top is going to be connected to the bottom of TextView. So let's look at what that means. See, my top is now connected to the bottom of TextView, and my bottom is still connected to the bottom of parent. So that means it auto centers it between those two. But I don't want it to be centered between those two. I want it to be connected to the bottom of Hello World. So I'm going to just drop this, which is bottom of the parent. I delete that. In case you want it back, you can type something like this, bottom. And look at that. It brings you all the possibilities that you might want. See, my bottom to the top of something, my bottom to the bottom of something. Or you can do layouts, baselines, and so forth. But I don't want to do that right now. So we'll take that out. And that gives me a button below world, my hello world text. Okay, so there's my button. Probably I want to be able to access this button later. So let's give it an ID again. So remember, I just type ID, hit enter. Okay, and then I probably want to put a new ID name in there. So I put plus ID and give it something. Let's call it clicker for fun. You're going to click the clicker button, right? Yay. So there's your clicker. You type it, you go. Now, let's look what it looks like. So there he is. There's the button for us, but there's no text on it. So if you want to put a text in there, you type TXT. Oh, look at that. It brings up that property for you. So notice I don't type everything out. I just type the key ideas and it brings up what I need. So in this case, what do we want it to say? Press me. And if I do that, I get a press me over here. Again, shout at me if anything's too fast. Okay. Now, this works, but you do not want this. Generally, you don't want this. See the light bulb? It says, hey, I got an idea for you. You might want to do something different. So when you see these ideas, you might, as a beginner, you should read them and see what they are. And you notice what it says. Click or press Alt Enter. So usually you're not going to click the light bulb. You're going to go here. You're going to hit Alt Enter. So when I hit Alt Enter, it gives me a whole bunch of ideas. Well, the first one is exactly what you want, which is extract string resource. In other words, go make me a string value and then populate it with this value. So it's going to make a variable for this spot. So we're going to just do it. Extract string resource. And then the resource name, it's like the variable name. Give it a name. And then what's the value in it? It's going to say press me. Okay, so you can change this to whatever you want, but it's going to be, right now it's going to be called press me. It's going to be put into the strings.xml file. So let's go ahead and hit OK and see what that looks like. So I come over to values and I go to strings and voila, it says press me. And then the value is press me. Okay. So you can change this. And remember, we want to do this because when we want to use Android resources later, like for example, translate, it will come to your list of resources and translate everything here. It will not translate strings that are within your main activity or your Java files. Okay, so there's my text. I'm going to go back to Blackboard because I've forgotten what I need to do next. So Blackboard is going to tell me to set IDs, set initial values. Okay, I've done that. I've set them to say press me and I've set them to say hello world. Just for fun, let's change this. Let's change this to hi mom. There we go. Okay, so it says hi mom. Now let's go see if it actually changed it over here. Did it change it? Oh wait, I didn't make one. So there's no variable name for that one. So therefore it doesn't exist over here. So maybe we should do that. So again, light bulb, hit Alt Enter, extract string resource. I just hit enter and it creates the variable name for me. It sets the value and it puts it into string XML for me. I'm going to check Blackboard again to see what I need to do. Now we need to access elements from layout by ID. So now that we've made these objects, so these are objects right here. We've made objects. They're also known as widgets or elements. In Android, you can refer to them in a number of different ways, but these are objects. So we come over here to main activity, and I want to be able to access it. So let's go call it the click button, and we're going to go find, see, oops, I can spell, find, and then it says, hey, do you want find view by ID? And it's like, yeah, view. So what is a view? All those objects, widgets in the XML, they're views. So we're finding view by ID. I was like, wait. That see the parameter right here? It tells you what it needs. It needs an int. But how am I going to get an int? I don't know what number that is. You don't need to. You go r dot ID dot, and look at that. It lists them all. And there's one of them is clicker, one of them is greeting. And see, there's an ID number to it. Are you going to need to know that? No. You just type the variable name and it gets it. So since this is the click button, it's the clicker. So there I go. I put that in, and it puts the ID number in. But it says, wait a minute, that's red. That's not good. I can't find it. I probably should create a local variable. Yes, you could, but I'm going to make a global variable. So I'm going to go button. I'm making a button. I'm going to call it click button. And then this says, hey, wait, red. I don't know what a button is. Button class doesn't exist. So you're like, wait, oh no, I'm going to go to the Android library and find out what class I need to import. No, you don't. You just hit Alt Enter. See, they tell you right here, Alt Enter. It's your magic key. Anytime you get stuck, hit Alt Enter and see if it has an idea. But what did it do? Well, you come over here. Whoa, that is a good thing. See right here? It imported that for you. Okay, it finds what you need, imports it for you. And you probably want to let it do this because then it saves you the trouble, and it also prevents you from doing something weird, like putting the wrong import in there. And then it says assign an on-click listener to the button. We're going to assign an on-click listener to it. So we go click button dot. So similar to what you did in your foundations class, you're going to set the on-click listener. So bam. But it says, wait, I need an on-click listener. So you got to create the on-click listener class. You can do it out here, or you could just do it right on here. So I'm going to just go new on view. Oh, I'm going to pause for 1 sec because I want to make sure I get the right class, because there's a couple different ways, and I want to make sure I do the right one. New view.onClick listener. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. See right there. Now watch this. Everybody pay attention. Sit up straight, eyes on the computer. See, I got this highlighted. I want to hit enter and watch this. It's going to do everything for me. Boom. You see that? So this class has a method that you must override. Remember, we have abstract classes, and there's a method you must define. So here's an abstract class, and you must define onClick or else it won't be valid. And so there we go. We defined it. So we're making a new class, and it knows that you must define onClick. So it puts it in for you. You can look at the class and see if there's other things you can do with it. But the one that you must have, the abstract method, is onClick, and that's why it does it for you. And yeah, you could type all this, but do you see how much easier that was? I just hit enter, and it put all of this in for me. Right? It did all that. And in other classes, there may be 3 or 4 that it has to do. Now, when you click me, what do I want to do? The assignment says you want to be able to put a log a message and using the log class and using system out println. So let's do both of those. So we're going to do system out.println. So if you didn't notice, I didn't type the whole system out println. I type SY, I hit enter, out, short enough, I could type it out. Println, I just hit PR, hit enter, and it filled it in for me. Now, what do I want to print? I'm going to just say, hi, Dad, just to see that this works, right? And then we want to log, so we want to practice what log looks like. Well, log has a number of different ones. It has D for debugging messages, E for error messages, I for information, and so forth. So today we're just going to use I for information. Okay. Now again, wait a minute, I don't know the log class. Maybe you should import it. So we go Alt Enter. So everybody's listening how I'm getting through this. I hit Alt Enter and it imports it for me. So that's what you do, is practice typing everything in and seeing what's going on. Okay, so now what do I need? I don't know what to put in here. What is the parameter for this method? So I hit Control P. Control P brings up the parameters I need. So first thing I need is a string and then another string. So the first string is the tag or the name that you want it to be classified under. Second is the message itself. So the first tag could be, or you could put something like that. And then that way you can search for a click response and it will filter out by that tag. And then what message do you want? I love CS. Okay. And look at that. See, watch out. Android is wonderful. These advanced development environments, they tell you something's wrong. You have a squiggly. If you hover over the red squiggly, it tells you, hey, look, I'm expecting a semicolon. So I expect a semicolon there. And so that will click and print those things out for you. Following through. And now we're going to make a second button. I'm going through it all instead of testing. Normally, I would test one piece at a time, make sure it's working. I'm doing it this way because that way everybody's seen it. In step 3, it says set the text of text view to increment a number. So that means I need a number. So I'm going to go, hey, make me an int, call it count. Let's instantiate it to 0. And then I'm going to say, hey, when this happens, oh, wait. I want to get access to this text view. How am I going to do it? Well, it has an ID called greeting. So that's how I'll do it. So over here, I will go display message equals find by view by ID r dot ID dot. Hey, which one do I want? I want the greeting. So it finds it. But it's red. So what does it mean when it's red? It tells me you need, this hasn't been declared. You create a local variable, or in this case, we will go ahead and make a global variable called text view. I spelled it wrong. Hit enter, and it types it for me. Display, oh, look at that. I typed it, and it says you probably mean display message. So I hit enter. So you need to get practicing of that so that you don't have to type everything out. You can get much faster with the autocomplete. So now I can go display dot, wait, I want to set text. Oh, look at that. It popped it up for me. It said you probably want to set the text. So I could put different things, but I want to just put set text, hit enter, and it tells me what I can put in there. So I'm going to put in count to increment 1. So I'm going to go plus count. So this will make count go up 1 and then display it. So for those who don't remember, if you put plus at the end, it'll display the current number and then increment 1. But I'm going to make it go up and then print. Okay, so there I go. So that's finishes step 3. Now I'm going to go to step 4, which is make a second button. So I'm going to go over here, make a second button. I'm going to cheat. Copy this, paste it here. Let's call this one, because the other one went up, this is decrement. This will be the decrement button. And we want this to say something like reduce. And hey, wait a minute, I want to make a variable out of that. So a string value. So I go Alt, Enter. Remember, extract string resource. And yes, call it reduce, have it say reduce, put in the string menu. Boom, does it for me. And it keeps track of everything for you. Okay, now where do I want it? I want it at the bottom of whom? I want it at the bottom of, what was that guy called? He's called clicker. So I type C and it says, hey, look, you probably mean clicker. And I put clicker. Now it's connected to the bottom of clicker. Check it, and there it is. So there's the reduce. And so the press me should probably change. We can change that if we want to. We go here. Press me will now say grow. It goes up instead. Now let's see what it does. Hey, look at that. See, because the button right now has a value that changes all text to uppercase. So no matter what I put in there, it converts it for me. Now you can change that so it doesn't do that. But I'm not going to get into that today. Okay, now what is new? Why did I want to make a second button? The reason is this. The first one, I made you do an on-click listener right here. The second one, we're going to put the on-click listener in here. So watch this. On. Oh, look, there's an on-click option. So this says, when this button is clicked, run this method. So what is this going to be? Let's call the method. Okay. So there it is. Wait, red squiggly line? I don't know what to do with that. So what we're going to do is hit Alt Enter, right? That's the magic word. And look at that. It says right here, create reduce view in main activity. You're calling a method that doesn't exist yet. So it says, don't you want me to make that method for you? I'm like, yeah, you know what? Instead of me making the method, why don't you do the header for me? And so I go enter. And look at that. So here's my method on create. So when Android starts up, it runs this and does this. But then here's the reduce method for you. Now, see, you might not have known that if you're going to make a method that's called from XML, you're going to need to receive the view. That's the button itself. The button, remember, is a view. So therefore, it has to receive the button itself so that you can do things with it. So here we go. When they do this, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to just say, hey, take that display and decrement instead. So go down one. Okay. All right, we're closing in on the end. We're installing it. There's my hi mom. There's my grow. There's my reduce. If I click it, it goes up. If I click this, it goes down. All right. Now, watch this, please. This is super, super, super important. I'm going to turn on Logcat. Now, on your screen, it should already be running in the bottom. And here's that. Android's got all sorts of stuff running, so it's hard to find what you need. But remember, we did this up here. We said click response. So I could sort by click response, and there we go. It shows you what was logged in each time. So see the I? So that's what this I is. If you do D for debug, see this? Debug, info, warn, error, you can put it under whatever you want. Right now it's under info. So if I search by info, I'll see this. If I just go to info, get rid of this search, it'll give you all the information, but that's too much. So I might want to, what was the end of click response? So I can focus. Okay. If I go back and I don't have anything sorted, I'm going to go bring up my app. And I'm going to click this. And you can see the hi dad part. See the system out println? Hi dad. And then the click response. So there's the log. So I'm just doing two ways. You can print things out and observe your errors. So remember, Android's got a lot of stuff going on. So you want to be able to put something that's sortable. So even if you do the hi dad here, you might want to have a keyword. And then that way, when you run it, you can search for test and you can see that the appropriate output. Okay, so you can filter by what you need. All right, that shows you Logcat. Let's say I want to video this. All right, see over here? There's a play button. So if you click the play button, you can create a video of your app. So later on, when you're trying to demonstrate your app to me, you're going to have to make a video of it. So if you want to practice today's, instead of turning in just a screenshot, you can turn in a video of you clicking. Okay, try to keep it short and sweet because I don't want big files on there right now. So just keep it quick. But if you want to take a snapshot, look at it here. You can do a screen capture and you can capture your Android device. So you can record it and then you can turn it into me. I saw some of you were having a little difficulty with it, so I just point out these two for you. Okay, and you can delete the whole Logcat if you want to clear things up. Can you just use screen capture and recording using a separate Android device only? Yeah, totally. You can do it any way you want. You can record a real device as well. So the intent of today was to quickly run through all the things you had to do and show you how to use Android Studio, the developer components. The code itself and how to do it is all in the quiz app tutorial. So follow that and then try to, once you've met the requirements, take a screenshot, turn that in, and then customize it. Do your own thing with it, and then take a shot of that and turn that in as well. So you're going to call one of them A and one of them B. When you turn it in, you're going to call it lab 01A, and that's just, hey, I did the tutorial, I did what I'm supposed to. And then, hey, I made it cool, so I'm going to turn it in as 1B, and then your last name, first name. I do expect students to do the custom part, because that's how you take ownership of this, is when you do something interesting for yourself. Some people do it to try to figure out how to change colors, how to do different things.